All right, well, welcome to the show, Pete. It's good to see you, man.
Having
It's so funny, man, because I had done all my research. I had everything that I wanted to talk to you about. I want to touch on the book and the candles and the music and the salsa, the whole deal. And then I was channel surfing end of last year, and I come across the Crossroads episode on CMT.
right.
So I'm like, all right, well, now I got to fit that in. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I tell you what a fun show to watch. I gotta assume playing that must have been a blast.
The Crossroads thing,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. Chris Janson is relatively new in the music scene, but he's had a couple big hits, and he's a gigantic, honest to God fan of Bret's.
Nice.
Bret is a gigantic fan of his. There were no faking it. They were so excited for each other to play those songs together. And we were down there for 2 days doing the pre-production and the final filming. And I've done a lot of TV stuff before. We've done a lot of work, and that one didn't feel like work at all. It was truly a lot of fun, and everyone was really happy when we walked away.
As a viewer, it looked like long lost friends. I mean, they were
Yeah,
just having a good old time. Brett singing some of Chris's songs, Chris singing some of Brett's songs and Poison songs, and that was
yeah.
fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun, and both bands were on fire. Chris's band is a rock band, man. His drummer was from the '90s band Toad the Wet Sprocket,
Oh,
uh,
no way.
which
Wow. I didn't know
that's
that.
not really you don't think of that as super, like, it's not hard rock,
Sure,
but
sure. Yeah.
it was a rock band, and all of us are big rock musicians that like country too, and it was excuse me, it was just a lot of fun. It was, and I'm glad you saw it. There was no faking it, and it was pure. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I was fortunate enough to get to mix it. So
Right
I
on.
got I got to the audio you hear coming through your TV was my work, and I love to produce records and produce audio as much as I like playing live. So that was an incredible honor for me to get to do some work for CMT.
As a weekend guitar player, I have a couple guitars in my collection. Nothing like you have behind you there, but got a couple good things. Tell me the story about the Dean guitar that you played for that show.
Oh, so that is when COVID came. I've been playing Dean guitars for almost 20 years exclusively. That guitar behind me, the one dime bag right there, that is
I have one, but that one is epic.
that's a 10th anniversary of Dime's death model.
Wow.
And Vinny was a good friend of mine, and Vinny and Dean presented that to a handful of us players when that came. And that's a very, very. I played it one time live, and I had the night that I played it. I don't know if you would know Mark Weiss, the world's most famous rock and roll photographer,
Okay.
uh, shot me with that guitar a couple times, and then I put it on the wall, and it's never left.
It's beautiful,
Um,
man.
I love it. And then that's my only real Gibson Les Paul that I
Okay.
own
Yep.
right there.
Respect.
And then my love to Van Halen, as you can see, all three of those are
Oh, the
EV.
yellow one too. Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
That the first one's the 5150. It's not the Frankenstein.
Okay. Yep.
A lot of people don't really understand there was two different red and white striped guitars.
Correct.
And that's the 5150 model because I'm a Hagar era fan through and
All
through.
right. Right on.
And the black one is the same exact guitar, but now they're making it without the stripes. And then that green guitar right there is the guitar that's on the cover of my book. I've had that guitar since I was 15 years old. My parents had it custom made for me. It's a green BC Rich because I used to be a BMX rider. And if you remember in the 80s, you had like the BMX had the mag wheels and the mushroom grips that were
Oh
all
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
neon colors, and my color was green, and they had the guitar made for me. And then it's so ironic because uh it's the same exact guitar that CC plays in the Good Time video.
Okay.
So a lot of people
Wow.
think I copied him, but I actually had that years
Way
before that
before.
video ever came out. So I have a pretty unique guitar collection. Actually, I it's a funny story. I'm a Jake E. Lee fan.
Love them. Yeah.
And when I was a kid, um, Jake, when the Ultimate Sin record came out, he was playing a blue Charvel. And most
Okay.
people remember Jake playing the white Charvel with the black pick guard from the Bark at the Moon era.
Right. Right.
But this blue Charvel was a beautiful guitar, and I was in middle school, and I asked my dad to take me up to New York City. I live in Virginia, and at the time, New York City had 48th Street, which had Manny's Music Store, Sam Ash, when Sam Ash was just one store, 48th Street Guitars, and everything was there. Where I lived, no one sold Charvels or Jacksons.
Okay.
And so
Yep.
my dad took me up there in hopes of finding this blue Charvel. Eventually, I got a blue Charvel, but not that. His model was nothing, so was not available. So, but I loved that guitar as much as I loved Ed's guitar. Uh, and so the story goes is that just 2 weeks ago, I was watching the making of George Lynch's um, new record.
Oh, okay. Sweet. I didn't know he was coming out with one. Cool.
Yeah, and I've done
Is that
I
Lynch Mob or is that a solo or
I think he's calling it Lynch Mob.
cool? Cool. Yep.
But but I do this acoustic charity gig every year with Eric Brittingham and Reb Beach. Uh, and last year George Lynch joined us. And it's neat to be out front that I'm the singer in that band. And I get to play with these legends. But so I got to know George, and we became acquainted. And I'm watching this video, and all of a sudden he pulls out the original Tiger Stripe guitar from the Breaking the Chains video, his guitar, and then he pulls out the blue original Jakey Lee guitar that I'm talking to you about.
Wow.
And I have a way to contact George, and I sent the message. And I shouldn't have done this because I'm not rich. I don't have the money to do this. And George, if you look at George online, he's always building and selling guitars. He sells all kinds of guitars.
Good to know.
And I texted and I said, I said, I'm not trying to take away from you, George. You're a legend and you're a fan. But that Jakey Lee guitar was one of the most important guitars of my childhood. And I said, I had no idea that you owned it. And I said, whatever the cost, if you're selling it, I'll buy it. And as I hit send, I went, fuck.
I said whatever the cost. I should have said
I,
that.
I said, I don't
Allow
have,
me to make you an offer or something.
yeah, I don't have the money to buy that guitar. And I don't need any more
Yeah,
guitars.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Uh, and so anyway, um, a message comes back that they aren't his guitars. He doesn't own his guitar or that guitar. A collector that owns both of those had brought those to the studio for him to play. He doesn't even own his original guitar from the Breaking the Chains video.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and so I was like, thank fucking God.
Yeah.
Like I really want that
Dodged a bullet
guitar.
there, Pete.
But yeah. So anyway, so then 2 days ago, I'm over in my local music store, a place called Matt's Guitars, and he sells Charvels. And I said to him, I said, hey man, are they actually making this Jakey Lee model signature blue guitar now? And he looked it up. He goes, yeah. And I said, I'm not in any hurry, but if one shows up, I'll figure out a way. I'll get it. And then he texts me today. Oh, it'll be here in a few days.
Wow, sweet. Wow.
Yeah. So,
And one of those things that you remember as a young man and as a guitar player, that's pretty cool to have.
yeah. But I've been with Dean for 20 years. I can't play the guitar live, but I between the dime guitar and the Van Halen guitar, and I have a couple other signature series things. JJ French from Twisted Sister is a good buddy of mine.
Okay.
And he Twisted Sister was the first band I ever saw live in my life. And I have his signature model Epiphone Les Paul too. So I'll have just my goal now is I'm gonna have a shrine of guitars that were
Important to you, yeah.
important to me in my childhood.
Sure.
The only one I got to get my hands on would be Brad Gillis's guitar.
Oh man.
And I don't know if you know or not, the red and black.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
that he's been playing since he was an Aussie, right? And Night Ranger opened up for us all summer long, and he still has that original guitar.
Wow.
And literally, I would take a picture of it every day.
Wow.
Like those guitars
Had you
were like,
sound checked there, Brad?
well, it's funny. He let me play it, but it's a real 59 or something. I didn't realize that it's a real honest to God 59 Strat, and he had, or whatever year, maybe 56, 50. I'm bad with that stuff, but it's the real thing. And he has the original Floyd Rose tremolo on it that Edward Van Halen had the first one, and he has the second one ever made.
Wow.
And
That is incredible, man.
it's
It's
on
on
that
that one.
guitar. It's on that guitar. And Neil Sean has the third one.
Wow,
And
no kidding.
but I always heard Brad had both of them, but Brad told me Neil has one. But anyway, Brad let me play it, but he makes you wash your hands before you touch it
Okay.
because it's the real thing, and
Yeah,
he does,
yeah.
you know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So those
Oh
guitars,
my gosh.
some of the guitars were as iconic to me as the players when I was growing up,
Sure, sure.
you
The
know.
the thing that I liked about that Dean that I saw you play on the Crossroads was the body. It's some
Oh,
kind
so
of an image. What's the image on that?
I started talking and I got off your actual subject.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
During COVID, the Dean guys called all of us that are, endorsed players or endorsees of their product. And they said, hey, not a lot's going on right now, COVID. If you give us the exact specs of your dream guitar, whatever it is, we're going to build one guitar for all you guys. That's one of a
Sweet.
kind.
Wow.
And
That's a
so,
cool offer.
as much as I was a Van Halen fan, I was never a Kramer guy, right? Um, but I sent him all these specs, and then the original idea for the photo for the finish on it was going to be a collage of all the different Van Halen album covers.
Okay.
I
Very
live
cool.
I live and die for Van Halen,
Sure. Who
and
doesn't?
I'm a Hagar fan more than a Roth fan, but I always say, hey, Van Hagar is my favorite band. Van Halen's my second favorite band.
Sammy's coming on tour this year with the guys, so it'll be
So
fun.
have you seen that set list? It's everything
I
I
haven't yet, but I
yeah.
got tickets for the summertime in Homedale, New Jersey. So yeah.
so so their legal department wouldn't put the Van Halen album covers on the art.
All right.
So I thought, what else could I do? And I'm really, really a hometown boy. I liken myself to Mellencamp and Bon Jovi. I never left my hometown. I come from a town called Manassas, Virginia. I own businesses in the town, and they one year I was the man of the year and rode the front float of the parade and all this
There
stuff.
you go.
So I thought, let me represent my hometown on that guitar. And I had one of my photographer buddies walk out on 95, which is, the highway,
Oh, sure. It goes down the
the
whole East
keys
Coast,
all the way up the top.
of course.
Uh, he walked out on 95 on the middle of the night and took that photograph of the street sign
Epic.
of Manassas, the exit off to where I live. And we didn't know how it was going to come out, but it's beautiful. It's very eye catching. It's very
Very
powerful,
much so.
very beautiful guitar. And when I shot the CMT thing, I actually went to the producers and I said, look, I don't care about being on camera myself. Please, please get some good shots of that guitar. And they really did. There's 5 or 6 shots in that show where the entire body of the guitar is what's on the screen.
That's why I brought it up, man, because it was just eye catchy, and I needed to find out the story behind it because I know it was something special. So
Yeah, very
yeah,
special. Very
pretty
special.
cool.
Thank you for asking. It means
Yep.
everything.
Absolutely. One of the things that I liked was it wasn't only just the performances, but there was some scenes where Brett and Chris were talking, and of
Very
course
genuine.
it
Very genuine.
was, and it gave you some insight into one of the greatest hits of the '80s. Every Rose Has a Thorn, and knowing from reading your book, MTV Famous, and you being a big Poison fan, give me some idea on when you first heard that song and that album, what went through your mind and
So
so forth.
so I was such a Poison fan. I had Look What the Cat Dragged In before even Cry Tough, the first single, came out. There
Yeah.
was there was a buddy of ours. I write about this in my first book, actually. There's a buddy of mine that his parents would fly him to LA like once every 2 or 3 months, and he would buy all these local tapes. I was still in I was in high school. And but he would buy all the new music and bring it back for us. Like go to LA, get all what's hot and bring it back for us. And
Almost like the underground trading cassette
yeah,
tape scene. Yeah, yeah.
and we would be riding our bikes. And brother, I will tell you, I will never forget this the rest of my life. If sun was setting, you know, a spring day, spring afternoon, spring evening, and we put the Look What the Cat Dragged In tape in the boom box, and I heard do 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 bah do the beginning of Cry Tough, and I was hooked. And I was like, can I? He would let us take the tapes home, you know, and I said, I'm taking that one home tonight. And from that day, I was hooked on Poison, but you couldn't believe I was into it. And then I went to see Poison opened up for Rat the first year. That was their first big tour.
Mm.
Went to see that. Giant fan. Then the next year, Poison was opening up for David Lee Roth on the Skyscraper tour.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah.
And you know, I was as much as I was a
So
Van
now
Halen,
you got the Van Halen there, and yeah,
and I also say what I'm about to say truthfully, because as much as a Van Halen fan, and much as I'm a Sammy Hagar fan, when Eat 'Em and Smile came out, I was like, oh, David's gonna win this. This is the baddest fucking record that was ever made in all time, you know. And and I liked Skyscraper too. A lot of people started to lose it with Skyscraper.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hung there. I was still a fan. So Poison was the opening act, and I remember the Open Up and Say Ah had not come out yet, and Bret was telling the audience that this is our new single, and he played Back to the Rocking Horse.
Oh
Good Time
wow.
was supposed to be the single, so
Yeah.
they played Back to Rocking Horse, and I saw that show a couple times, and they played Every Rose during that night, and the crowd's reaction was no one had heard it. There was no record, there was no nothing, but you saw it was special. You could tell it was special, and but I love Back to the Rocking Horse. I still do. I make fun of Brett all the time. Actually, there was one time that because Ricky in Brett's band in Poison, he would rather play some of that obscure stuff where Poison and our solo band is really known for we play the hits. We don't go the
Of course.
deep cuts a
Yeah,
lot.
no, you had no deep tracks. Yeah.
And I'll never forget, me and Brett were working on a record at his house, and he was sleeping on the couch. And have you ever seen that? I think it's the Avengers movie. No, it's the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Do you watch any of those
Yeah, yeah,
movies?
yeah. I've seen a couple. Sure.
There's a Fantastic Four movie where the guy that plays Captain America is also Johnny Fire or whatever. Anyway, there's a scene where he reaches over the couch and the Thing guy is sleeping, and he puts shaving cream on the Thing's face.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh, so it was much like that. I came up behind Brett. He was sleeping on the couch. I grabbed an acoustic guitar and I just started singing and playing Back to the Rocking Horse. And he wakes up dead fucking he wakes up a dead sleep and he yells at me, but he goes, "Don't you tell fucking Ricky you know how to play that."
yeah.
That's all he could think of was me and Ricky teaming up on him about playing the old music. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So he's heard it
And,
before. Yeah,
yeah, don't you fucking tell Ricky I know how to play that. And meanwhile, me and Ricky aren't buddies. Me and Cece are buddies, and me and Bob are buddies. Me and Ricky don't get along very well.
yeah.
So
Gotcha.
that was never going to happen.
Yeah, but right. Yeah.
That was what was on his mind. Don't keep up on me. You know what I mean? But so anyway, the first time I ever heard Every Rose was live in front of 35,000 people opening up for David Lee Roth. And I remember that night. I was already a Poison fan, like I told you, but they had honed their skill and they'd gotten so much better. The band was better, the show was tighter, the band was they'd shed that Look What the Cat Dragged In look and traded it for more of a leather and denim look.
Yeah.
And they were fucking great, brother. And I remember thinking, you know, our generation, David Lee Roth, we were robbed. Dave fucked us. Dave was supposed to be our Elvis, our Robert Plant. He really was. And he got weird. He did. You can't fucking deny it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He got weird. And I remember that night going, I was a kid. I was just ninth grade, and I remember going, that fucking Bret Michaels dude just took the crown off of Dave's head as an opening act. And like a month later, they were the headlining act. Dave kicked them off the tour because they were out selling merch to him. Every
Wow.
Rose hit #1. You know
Wow.
what I mean? And that song was powerful. It was I always tell everybody every single night on stage, I play those songs for me, for fun. I play Every Rose for the fans. Brett gives me complete free will to play those solos anywhere I want. He does not care if I play them
Oh, that's
like
cool.
he
Doesn't
does
have to
not
be note for note. He could, yeah.
he doesn't care. But when I play Every Rose, I play that for the fans, and I do it. I don't use the whammy bar like CC does, but for the most part, I play that melody identical.
Hmm.
And I'm a guitar shredder. I can fucking play every lick Malmsteen ever played. I'm a Vi fan, but CC, you can hum every note to most of his solos. And when we were kids, the joke was, you say you're a guitar player, and how old are you?
57.
So all right, I'm 51.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you
About
were
the
you
same
were
age.
you were there. CC DeVille and Mick Mars were not the guitar heroes. They
Hmm.
were laughed at,
Hmm.
right? I was a giant fan of CC. I wasn't a giant fan of Mick, but I was a giant fan of CC, and I understood what he was doing. And here we are, all these years later, and it's CC and Mick that are still there, and they still
Still
count.
kicking.
You
Hell
know what I mean?
yeah.
And
Yep.
I just that song you asked me about hearing that song, I think was your question.
Yeah, yeah.
It was powerful. In my brain, I say this all the time. Uh, the critics didn't love Poison. The other musicians didn't really have their back. And that song changed everything because within weeks, every band had a ballad with
You
acoustic
had to have
guitar
a ballad.
that
Every album that
started
came out
big,
after that had to have a ballad.
just like that.
Yep.
And what's interesting is Fred has always told the story that nobody wanted to hear that song, that the rest of the band hated it. And Tom Warman, I was always under this understanding that Tom didn't like the song either, that
Okay.
produced.
Yep.
And I may have misunderstood because Brett always talks about no one wanted to hear it. So he waited for everyone to leave. And then I thought he said he got the engineer to cut the track with him. And then the next day, everybody listened to it and heard something.
Okay.
But all of a sudden, Tom Werman has this new book out and he's doing everyone's shows and podcasts. And all these years later, Tom's like, when I heard Every Rose, I knew it was a hit. He's never said that before, but
Yeah.
hindsight changes everything. You know
Sure,
what I mean?
sure.
It's an
Yep.
interesting perspective. So, yeah.
But I'm sure some bands have that experience though. Like, when you're in the studio putting something together, and I mean, something like you said, something special about this one. But
Yeah.
man, it just made so leaps and bounds. I mean, I don't even think that even the guys would have seen that coming.
Yeah.
That's one of my iconic tunes.
Well, certainly Brett didn't see it coming. Brett liked the song, but the thing I say the most about Brett is, he's 60 years old, and I mean, Poison ruled that stadium tour. There was no every review, everything you saw. They went out there, they played completely live in the daylight, and they kicked everyone's ass. And 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 then me and Brett and our solo band went out on the Party Girl tour this year in front
Hmm.
of big. We had crowds as big as 80,000. Most crowds were 25,000, and he killed it every night, every fucking night. And Brett still will be on the phone with me and be like, "If we can just do this, we'll make it." And I'm like, "What the
But that's
fuck?"
that drive,
That
that's
drive
that
is
drive that he has, man. You can't,
there's
you know,
nobody like him. And
yeah.
sometimes it's hard because I till I met Brett, I thought I was the most driven guy in the world. And anyone that knows me will tell you I'm the hardest working guy they know. It's I'm not saying I am, but anyone will tell you that. You know,
One thing that's so impressed me about your book is, like I said, I've been playing guitar since I've been 10. I had aspirations after my first guitar lesson. My mom asked the instructor, is he like that Gene Simmons guy yet? I was a big Kiss fan, you know what I'm saying?
but yeah,
And I'm playing acoustic guitar and Gene plays bass, but my mom doesn't know that. So, but to have that aspiration of being on stage, and the biggest takeaway from your book is that you're doing it. I mean, being a fan of Poison and playing them songs is like, you know,
Right.
I wish that could happen, bro. Like, that's kudos to you, man.
You know, what's funny is it's probably a similar story to what you're talking about with your mother. Is when I was young and I was taking lessons at a music store. Uh, once I committed, I committed quick. I was playing Eruption in my sixth grade talent show. I was. I will tell you this: in high school, I was 10 times the guitar player I am now
Yeah.
because I also became a singer and a songwriter, and that took away from my shred. You know what I'm talking
Right,
about?
right, right.
But anyway, I remember um, my mom asking the guy at the music store, "Do you really think that he has a chance at this?" And the guy didn't say I was a great player. The guy said he wants it too bad not to.
Which is even better to hear.
That
Yeah.
no, yeah. And I lived with that my whole life, and I used that to keep going. You know, and yeah. Uh there's a song called Doing This from Luke Combs, the country guy,
Yep.
and it brings tears to my eyes. It came out uh a couple years ago, and it's the story of basically if Luke hadn't made it big, he'd still be playing it. And it's like he talked. What's the lyric is so powerful. A Friday night crowd in the palm of my hand, cup of brown whiskey, a couple buddies in my band playing the same damn songs like I am now. And there's a talk about the bar stool, same bar stool, and me and Brett were going up the Pacific Coast Highway,
Hmm.
just riding around being buddies. And I said, "Have you listened to this song?" And he goes, "No." And I played it, and I just started bawling like a baby. And I said to him, I said, "If it wasn't for you, this song would mean something completely different to me." Do you know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
And he shed
You gave me chills, man.
yeah, he shed a tear too about it. And then that song's very, very powerful to him too. But um when Poison went on the stadium tour last year, I started I've been in Brett's band 20 years. And for a good bit of those years, I'm not going to say it's ego driven, but I didn't. I play one time a year locally, which next, Saturday is my 15th annual New Year's after New Year Evick local show, which is the one thing that I would do locally since I joined Brett's band.
Okay.
And um, somewhere when Brett went on the stadium tour, I I decided I just wanted to continue playing. I used to look forward to it as a break. When Brett would go on a Poison tour, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah!"
Right. You do your
And
stuff, yeah.
because we play nonstop, we
Yeah.
play all week, every week,
The
non.
schedule you guys keep is crazy.
Yeah, and the only time we don't play is the first 2 weeks of January, and that's basically because nobody, the venues the size that the Bret Michaels Band plays are basically dark those couple weeks because it's dead from the holidays and stuff. So anyway, so I started playing acoustic again and just doing these solo gigs in my hometown, stuff I hadn't done in 15 years, and I fell in love with it again.
Well,
I fell in love with playing to 5 or 10 people on a dark, empty night, and because that's where you really work hard. I can play in front of 125,000 people and not think twice about it when you've got to impress five strangers that don't know who you are.
hmm.
And in my position, there's that like, hey, I'm like the guy that made it big out of this town. How do you not know who I am? You know
Sure,
what I mean?
sure.
And I love it. I love it more than anything now.
It's one of
I
them things that keeps you grounded and, and
it changed my
get
perspective.
back to where it started. You mentioned
Yeah,
that in your book how you came up like that. So,
yeah, and when COVID happened, um, I was married to a bartender, and prior to being in Brett's band, I was a full-time musician. You read it in the book.
mhm.
Uh, and but I was a full-time musician, very connected to the bars. and but I was a businessman, so I understood how bars worked. I understood my job was to sell beer, not sing good. It's the truth. You know what I mean? And and so once I was in Brett's band and people did want me to play solo, and if I chose to, I would ask for for lack of a better word, rock star money,
Okay, sure.
right? Because I wanted to feel like I had achieved what I had achieved. I'd gotten to that point. I wanted to be paid what I deserved. And then when COVID hit and everybody in the world was struggling, my whole perspective of it changed.
Wow.
And I went, those guys supported me when I needed them from my high school years till the moment I got in Brett's band. And why am I making them pay me more money? And now when I go play, I actually tell them all, just pay me what you pay another band.
Wow.
I just want to be paid equal. And I hope I make you enough money to make the night worth it.
Good
And
for you, man.
I just fucking enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love it. But don't get me wrong. It's equal. Playing in front of 80,000 people, 100,000 people.
Yeah, you could see it how much you enjoyed it by watching that Crossroads, dude. So
Yeah,
it's
you know,
without a doubt.
and I don't know that I would have the perspective that I have of playing the local acoustic shows had I not made it. I'd probably be bitter and angry. It's that made me come home, if
Right,
that makes,
right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
be happy to come home instead of every night going, God damn it, why am I not playing here or there? So it's interesting. But at the end of the day, I'm 51 years old and I play the guitar for a living. And that is, there's millions of us, but there's billions on the planet. So that percentage is still tiny, and it's a gift, man. If anyone will pay a cover charge to watch you play an instrument, you're a lucky motherfucker, if you ask
Yep,
me.
exactly right. And you got these little guys going here, the
How
candles,
do you
dude.
have that?
I
Thank you.
bought it, man. I bought off the site. It's so awesome, man. I have Sun-Kissed.
Oh yeah,
Love it, dude.
that is one of my favorites of all time. I
Yep,
came up with that
damn
uh,
right.
about 4 years ago, and the way those things work is I describe what I want to a chemist, or there's what's called fragrance labs. That's all they do,
Yeah.
and you describe what you want, and they send you 3 or 4 samples, and a lot of times so there's 2 different versions. There's, oh, I just want to sell a coconut candle. I want to sell all your generic stuff that every candle company makes.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
your stuff that's important. And I kept describing that to those people. And they sent me back we went through 2 rounds of process of that. And when they got it right, I went, man, that's special.
It's
And
so
so
awesome.
thank you for having that, man.
Absolutely. Time's running out here, man, but I just got to say, if anyone, lived through the 80s like you and I have, growing up young, listening to just your first couple chapters on that book was I related to so much of it.
You, you know,
Playing every second that you could, waiting to come home to see, Mental Health or Thriller or whatever them songs were. I
whatever it
mean,
was, right.
come on, man. Like that was life. All right, let's get school over, come home. What's next on MTV,
That's right. That's right. And you mentioned you were a Kiss fan,
Yeah, yeah,
and I mean, that's where it all starts. You
yeah,
you read that in the book, and
yeah, yeah.
that's what. And how about Ace's new record?
Oh my gosh. And even to think about, okay, 200 million, I don't have that on my bank account, but to have these avatars that'll have them live on for, oh my
Right.
God, it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
The Kiss thing is what it's what bonds all of us, to be honest with you. Even some of us that may have outgrown it, it's where we started, and it's what connects us. And the last show was very emotional for me. I wasn't able to make it. My son made it. He drove all the way up there, but I had a show that day, and I was really twisted that Paul didn't get emotional or say anything
Mhm.
like, but I watched the pay-per-view, and it reminded me, regardless of what they became, they were the band from the streets, and they represented all of us who weren't the in crowd in school, and that's what we had. You know what
Before
I mean?
before Kiss, I was a fan of, and I'll say this, I was a member of the Captain and Tennille fan club.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
And then I went to the store and I saw Kiss record there, and I became a member of the Kiss Army. So,
Yeah,
it
and
was
here we are
that
today.
was a switch for me.
And that makes you and me brothers till
Yep.
then, you know.
Exactly right,
So
man.
I want to tell you, I know I went off on a tangent, and these podcasts are supposed to be about promoting my book. It's obvious that the book touched you. I wrote
100%.
that book not to show everyone that what I had become. What I wrote that book for was specifically what you just said, to remind every one of us that we're the same.
Where we came. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Regardless of what I do or what you do, every one
We
of
have
us
so
in
much in
that
common with
race.
that, starting there. So
So we're none of us are alone, and that's what that book's about.
the name of the book is MTV Famous. It's out now. It's been out for a while. Pete, this has been a blast, man. I hope
Yeah,
to have you back on again.
anytime, brother. You hit me up, and you're great, and I would give anything to come back on whenever you're ready.
You enjoy yourself, man, and we'll see music later on in the year, I hope.
Oh yeah, there's always new music coming from me solo, from Bret, from all kinds of things are about to happen. Actually, I can't say too much about it,
Yeah.
but I play with Chad from Faster Pussycat. We do an acoustic show that has
Okay.
become pretty popular around the country. Uh, and but a label, a very popular rock label, has come to me and him about wanting some very specific music written that feels Hagar-esque Van Halen.
Wow.
And not a lot of people can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
and I'm
That's
up
something
for
to
the
look forward
challenge.
to.
I'm
Right
up
on.
for the challenge. And so there's all kinds of new music that should be heard with me doing something on it this year.
Pete, it's been a blast, man. You take care of yourself, and we'll be in touch.
All right, brother. Thank you
Thanks,
so
bro.
much.
Right on, man. Bye bye.